We do some radio spots. We do a radio spot at 102.9 on Friday afternoon. No, 94.9 on Friday afternoons. Once a month, I go to KGGF and do a radio spot. And now we're doing a community calendar that runs Monday through Friday on all three of the local stations, 102.9, 94.9, and 1010 a.m. So if you want your event or your program publicized, please give the chamber a call, and we will work to get it on the calendar and work to get it in the community calendar on the radio as well. Make people aware of what's going on in the community. And finally, we have some comment cards on your table. We take those very seriously. We ask that as the event progresses and you think of great ideas for future First Fridays, please jot them down, and we will just leave them on the table, and we will collect those and use them as we plan for our next First Friday. We will not have First Friday in January. It falls on the holiday, the New Year, and they will be closed. So the next time we convene for First Friday, we will see you in 2016 on February. Let's see. So at this time, it is time for me to turn it over to our Mayor, Leonard Kiflish.
Thank you, Lisa. This is kind of an unusual situation when we get together to discuss city business, and according to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, which is also known as COMA, it states that any time a majority of the commission are together and there's interactive discussion concerning city business, that constitutes a meeting. And by being a meeting, then it has to be open to the public. So as you can see, with all three of us commissioners present, and we are going to be discussing items relating to city business, and there's questions coming in, we do cross the line, and this has to be declared as a special meeting. So with that, there was an agenda prepared. It was online. I think there's a copy available here too. And it lists the items that's going to be covered in the discussion. So kind of what I'll do is I'll call the meeting to order, then I'll just read the agenda. So instead of conducting this as a typical meeting, item by item, I'll just read the agenda and we'll stay within that framework. And as a special meeting, we're limited to discussions on the agenda items. So we'll be within COMA's requirements by reading the agenda, and then all your questions will be directed towards those items. This will be even a little more unusual in the fact that part of the meeting, again, since the ribbon cutting will constitute all three commissioners present, that will adjourn here for a few minutes and then reconvene at 11th and Main for the ribbon cutting. So generally that's what's going to take place. And I want to make sure no action will be taken at this meeting, just to clarify, so we're all on the same board. We've talked some about an open forum to create a dialogue between the citizens and the commission. So in one sense, this will be an attempt at that. And maybe, if we can get things worked out, that maybe in the future it could occur more often of having an open dialogue. But I'll call the meeting to order at this point. On our agenda is a report on Adopt a Family program and any related discussion. Item B, report on signage and landscape and any related discussion. Item C is report on proposed mercy donation and any related discussion. Item D, report on health care and any related discussion. Item E, report on community recycling and any related discussion. And item F, report on recently completed street projects on West Main and 10th and Chestnut and any related discussion. And then item G is citizens' questions relating to the above topics. And item H is ribbon cutting at 11th and Main for West Main and 10th and Chestnut projects and related discussion. So the meeting won't be adjourned until after item H at 11th and Main. So this time I'll turn it back to Lisa.
Thank you very much. All right. We are ready to start our program, so you can flip your programs back over and follow along. Our first speaker today is no stranger to independence. Jim Kelly will be speaking to us about the amazing Adopt a Family program this holiday season. Please welcome Jim Kelly.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate the chance to be here today. This is not a normal City Commission agenda item, but this is Adopt a Family is a program that's been around. This is the 29th year, and I've been involved with it for 29 years. When Janetta Shelton, some of the old-timers would remember her, but she was a minister in town, and 29 years ago, she came to me and said, you know, there's a lot of kids in town that don't have good Christmases, whatever the family situation may be at the time. They don't get gifts. Christmas should be for kids, and I want to try to put something together. So we started out on that venture, and 29 years later, working through, I was at Citizens Bank at the time, same building, but Community National now. And as the banks have changed, we have continued to keep the program. Mrs. Shelton passed away some years ago, and the goal was to keep it going because it was what she had the vision for and a needed program. Each year, now we're up to about 150 families that we help. Someplace around 500 kids, and we run the program through the Community Foundation for Independence so that it is a tax-deductible contribution. And the way that we do it is that we start taking applications from families that would like to have assistance at Christmas time, and they're submitted to the Community Access Center, and we go through those and try to look at the families. These are Independence families is what we do. So we'll look to see whether the family is from Independence, and then we'll look to see the ages of the kids. We go from birth to 15 years old on the children. And then we try to get the families adopted. And out of our 150 families, about half of them are adopted, and about half of them we collect financial donations and try to do the shopping for the rest of the kids. Either shop food certificates for the family so that they can buy food for the holiday. And each year we've been able to pretty much accomplish adopting all of those families through the help of individuals, churches, companies, just a whole wide range of people that go out and will shop for a family or make a donation. We're getting down to the end now. I mean, today will be really the last day that we'll pick up applications and try to work them because our distribution is in mid-December because we want to give the families enough time to have everything ready for Christmas. And so we usually do it about a week before. And so during this time, the Abate motorcycle drive was postponed from their toy drive was postponed from last weekend because of the weather. It'll be tomorrow at coming in at 1 o'clock. If you haven't seen it, where they ride in with the toys with Santa on the motorcycle leading it, tremendous show as they come down Penn and turn at Pecan at the food bank. And really, without that program, we would not be able to take care of the kids in the families that are not adopted because they just bring, we fill up boxes full of toys, and then we're able to go and take the list by the ages of the kids and whether they're boys or girls and try to fill toy needs and then supplement things from there. A lot of as I said, it's aimed at the kids. A lot of families or businesses that adopt may have something of a household item they put in for the parent, and they'll give us, for the kids, the sizes of clothes they wear, a toy or two they like. We don't do anything as such. I mean, someone could request an Xbox, they're not going to get it unless someone desires to, that adopted them. But we generally strike those off because we want toys that are appropriate for the age and that are would be something that would be more of what this type of program was intended for. So it's been a very successful because of individuals. I see a number of individuals in the room and businesses represented that over these 29 years have adopted families, have made contributions, and if anyone would like to adopt a family, Debbie Moses at Community National has the list, and you could call 331-3100 and get her, and she could put you in touch with the family. Yeah, all you have to do is say, I'd like a family, 2 kids, ages 7 to 10, and we can go through and pick ones from the ones that are adopted. Or if you'd like to make a cash donation, a monetary donation, you can send it care of me at Community National, Post Office Box 687, and we'll get in and we'll put it to use. Like I said, we try to shop for the kids. We try to give gifts, food gift certificates, and just try to make Christmas a little happier for some families that it may not turn out that way. And her goal of having Christmas for kids and something entertaining, we've tried to keep alive, and so far with about 500 kids a year, hopefully we're doing a good job of that. And again, it's through the Community Foundation, so it is a tax-deductible gift at the end of the year, and appreciate the chance to tell you about it.
Thank you very much, Jim. All right, our next speaker is, again, our Mayor Leonard Kaflish, and he will be giving us an update on the Doug Pickert landscaping and signage plan.
A quick background and history of how Doug Pickert of Indigo Design came to be working for the city on these 2 projects. If you'll remember, is that better? Okay. It's easier than cutting a few inches off the legs. When Roger Brooks came and presented his review of our community, he mentioned communication was really a key in any successful endeavor, and communicating for the city is part of giving directions to visitors so they'll feel comfortable traveling about our city. And he brought out some examples that he had experienced trying to find locations that he knew were here, but he never could find the final destination. And he was close, but he never found it. And of course, you know, us, if you've been raised in Independence, I don't know addresses or names of street, but I can get there. And we grow accustomed to this, and we soon accept everybody else to be able to adapt like we have. Well, of course, you know where William Inge his boyhood home is. Well, you know where the Landon House is. You know where the park or the zoo is. But some people coming to town don't have that advantage of always living here. So he brought out the fact that we need to direct our visitors to the points of interest that they would be coming to see. And the more comfortable we make it for them, the more easy it is to communicate. So part of his review was also the downtown, making it more people-oriented, you know, a comfort area, providing trees, changing the, I'll call it landscape, outside the stores, putting benches, putting plants, putting items out there so it feels more comfortable for people visiting Independence. And again, he brought up the fact of signage is critical, that if you're walking down the sidewalk and the sign is up on the front of the building, how do you know where your destination is? You can't see it. So signage became very important part of his presentation and conveyed to us. So that's when the city had worked with Doug Pickert, Indigo Designs, on a master plan at the park and zoo. So he was contacted and came and gave the commission a proposal to provide services both for beautification of downtown streetscape and also looking at signage. So as he progressed in his design, there were public meetings to get input and formed a dialogue between him. So he's after the meetings, he was able to select trees that he felt would be appropriate for the downtown, that would be providing shade, still not obstruct the vision of some of the businesses, and provide variation. They're not all the same tree. And if you look at the Penn and Main location, you can see different species of trees along that intersection. It's more evident there than anywhere else, but there's some groupings of similar trees, but yet there's going to be a variety. And I think that's what, makes a town interesting, is the variety. And in college, they talked about vernacular architecture, things that just happen because they're needed. And I think when you look at the beauty of our downtown is that vernacular attitude, that aesthetic quality, that all the buildings aren't the same. They're relatively from the same time period. Some have been remodeled, but they're each different. That lends to the beauty. And that's what he was bringing out with the streetscaping. And a lot of businesses have jumped on board with that, and they've put plants, and each of them different. Some have put benches, each different. So it's adding that beauty of individuality downtown. Then the signage was the next step to bring uniformity in the design of the sign, so you get familiar and comfortable knowing that it's directional signage. And he had presented some designs for different locations. We reviewed his suggestions. We've got some sketches. Right now, the signage, we removed it from the budget for this coming year for, we always have dreams, but sometimes you got to look at what's in the pocket. And we thought, let's pull that back out of our budget so we can do some things that need to be done. It isn't gone away. Signage isn't gone away. There's been some communication with the park. Four Paws has been interested in looking at it, but we're still wanting to tie the two together. The thing with signage is consistency and uniformity, so that somebody coming to town, they'll be able to identify the type of message being sent, that it will all circulate and flow together. That you don't have different signage in the park, different in the zoo, different in the residential area, different coming into town, but just that's where you don't want vernacular design, You want the consistency, you want the uniformity, because some of it was identifying the different locations in town with a color on the blade of the sign. So, your eye is caught by the color, and then you can see the message, so that uniformity can direct you and draw your attention and lead you, that you can follow it as well as the wording. So the trees are progressing. We've got quite a few planted. There's two ways the trees are purchased: in a container or a ball, and they're transitioning the landscape companies that are growing the trees. So I believe there was a little delay. We got the container trees now. Now we're going to a different type because of the type of year, and that will be our next planting. The contributions that this doesn't include any city money is $33,974.17. Now, I think that's remarkable because, see, what is a community but people working together? And this is a good example when we come together and we focus on a need and we see the things that are accomplished, just like Jim mentioned with Adopt a Family. The people coming together to touch needs and lives. And, this is a little different touch, but it's adding to our community. And, I want to thank everyone that's taken on the burden for the trees and contributed, because they're your trees, it's your town, and now you're becoming more active part in it.
Thank you for that. And it's good to know that that's removed from our budget, and we can look forward to that in possibly 2017 then. So, all right. It is time to move on. Our next speaker is Commissioner Gary Hogsett, who will be discussing the many areas around community health care. Please welcome Gary.
I got the easy topic. I can easily cover this in 20 minutes. So I am going to ask a consulting physician to join me, Dr. Ann Hogsett, if you would. Here you go, Ann. So we will try to go through and answer a few questions as accurately as we can, as quickly as we can in 20 minutes.
On? Yeah. So Gary asked me to help him talk about our healthcare situation. And as we thought about how we should approach this, I felt like we should possibly look at the 10 most provocative things that had been said on social media, questions from what's been said on social media. So we're going to try to address some of those things. So first slide. So is it true that our city commissioners and our city manager are the 4 stupidest people on the planet? So I don't think so. Sometimes when I look at how much time he spends, and I'm sure these guys do the same, researching each question that's brought to them and each problem and listening to everybody's concerns all for free, I think, maybe not so bright. But actually, between the 4 of them, they have 8 college degrees. And although I don't always agree with what they choose, including the love of my life, sometimes I realize that, of course, I don't have all the facts. I haven't heard all the discussions. And I do not believe that they have personal agendas. And I do believe that they really have our best interests at heart for our city. So, moving on to the next question. Why are small-town hospitals closing? And there are many things that are going on here. This is not new. So we are the 58th. Our hospital is the 58th hospital that is closed since, rural hospital that is closed since 2010. That's happening for many reasons. And the discouraging thing is that it's accelerating. Ours is not going to be the last, and it's going to accelerate. And it has been accelerating over the last year or year and a half. Why is it happening? Well, fewer patients are paying their bills. And it's interesting because we all kind of feel like when we're sick, we should be able to go to the hospital and it should be free. But, we pay rent and we pay our home mortgage, so you can't stay at home for free. And you can't really stay at the hospital for free. And people just either can't or a lot of times just don't pay. Declining reimbursements. So this means that Medicare has been paying the hospital less and less over the last 10 years. So if I go to the hospital because I have pneumonia, because I have taken oral antibiotics and they're not working and I need IV antibiotics and oxygen, etc., and say the hospital spends $1,000 taking care of me, my insurance pays actually $300, and the hospital just has to say, oh, well, we're not going to get paid the rest. And that's just how it goes. And that number has been coming down and down. Growing regulatory burdens. If anybody's come to my office, they see what a ridiculous amount of time I spend making notes. And the hospital is the same. And everybody has to document. 20 years ago, you went to see your doctor. You said, Doc, I got this rash. He goes, oh, yeah, here. And the script, he hands you a script, and you're done and you're out, right? It took like 5 minutes. That's not going to work because we have to document everything. Because we're a litigious society. If we miss something, we want to find out where the mistake was, right? So we have to document everything. Shrinking rural populations. This is not new. We all know that, right? People have moved for the last 100 years. Most of our small towns have gotten smaller and smaller and smaller as people move to the big cities. But that means that small towns are filled with people that are aging, which are my favorite patients to take care of, because they're complicated, which is neat. But then when they do get sick, they often need a tertiary center, meaning a big hospital, because you have a cardiologist there and a pulmonologist and a nephrologist, kidney doctor, and infectious disease, you have all the specialties. So actually, as you get more complicated, you need sometimes more expert specialties, right? So all of these things contribute to why rural hospitals are struggling so much, because there are just so many things going on. Okay, next slide. I just want, oh yeah, I know you want it. I know. So just real quickly, this is a map of Kansas. Can you see that most of our counties have one hospital? And we have always had two. There are a few counties, 4 or 5, that have no hospital, and the big ones have several. But that's just another point. It's been hard. Okay.
So that still begs the question, why Mercy? Why Independence? Why have we lost our hospital when Coffeyville still has their hospital, Chanute, et cetera? This is a very, very difficult, the whole topic is difficult, but this is an especially difficult one to talk about. But the fact is, we have pretty much gotten a free ride, Independence. Other communities, this was just in the paper a few days ago, Neosho Memorial Regional Medical is spending $12.2 million on an addition. That's just a small, very small addition to their hospital. Coffeyville has spent millions and millions over the years, taxpayer money, sales tax, property tax. We have not. Mercy has done an awful lot for us over the years. Don't know that we always appreciated it. I don't particularly appreciate them today, but we have gotten a free ride over the years. So,
the Pink Ladies, right? The Pink Ladies have been amazing. So
yes.
That's not
right. Yeah. We have done some, fundraising in town, but the city and the county have not, you don't see a lot of taxes being raised to pay for a new hospital, which we would certainly have to do. Another thing, small towns really struggle with doctors. There are a lot of doctors that want to stay in a big city because they can make a lot more money. They can specialize and make, boatloads more money than in a small town. So most small towns grow their own doctors. Most small towns in Kansas have programs like this. I just pulled this off the Coffeyville website. Scholarships available in Coffeyville to students who want to go to med school and then come back and practice in Coffeyville. The tuition right now at KU Med is $26,000 a year. You need 4 years of that. You need 4 years before you get in KU Med. It costs a lot of money to go to med school. We need to be looking for future doctors now at our high school and junior high. We need to encourage them to consider a field in medicine and find a way to support them, because it's no small chore to get there. Now, this is the toughest one to talk about, but it's a big one. I hate to even bring it up. We just debated whether we should. But the fact is, we have not supported our hospital. We just haven't. And there are statistics that show that over the last 20 years, actually more than that, but about 2 out of 10 people in Independence that need a hospital go to our local hospital. The rest of them go to another hospital. I was talking to a minister just yesterday, and he said, every week I go around and visit any of our church members in the hospital, and for years and years and years, I've been going to see most of them in Bartlesville, go see a few in Coffeyville Hospital, a few in Chanute, a few in Parsons, and then maybe one in Independence. These are Independence residents, and I walk through the Independence Hospital, and there's nobody there. There are no patients there. So the fact is, I don't know why. We're still relative newcomers. We've been here 2 years. I think it's a fabulous hospital, amazing staff. We've been very impressed with people we've worked with over there. But the fact is, the community has not supported the hospital well. And, so then the last few months, people have said, well, what can we do to support these Mercy employees? They've really suffered a lot the last year. I mean, it's just been unbelievable what they've gone through. And people will say, let's bake them cookies or something, which is nice, don't get me wrong, but it's like, where were you when we needed you? Where were you? And people now that have started, and as Annie said earlier, I get people stopping me all the time. I'm right down on Main Street. I mean, I want you to come in and talk to me if there's something on your mind, but people say, well, how are we going to get another hospital? And I will say, did you use the hospital when we had it? And they'll say, well, no, I went to Chanute. I went to Coffeyville. I went to Bartlesville. So the fact is, if we're not going to support it, we're not going to have it. That's the long and the short of it. I see my favorite Dairy Queen manager, Brent Littleton, sitting there. Brent, I can just imagine if no customers came to your store at all for several days, I imagine you'd be thinking, about time to close the doors. If people don't come, you can't keep it open. That's the long and the short of it.
Can I just jump?
Yeah.
Okay, so the other thing is, but remember, this is a tough one. It's really tough because, because in a small town you can't have the specialties, right? You have a few. Coffeyville's done an amazing job at that. But so say you need a colonoscopy. All right. I know we got to hustle. Okay. You need a colonoscopy. The fact is, I'm sorry. The fact is, what we know is that when you're having a colonoscopy, 15% of polyps are missed. So, yeah, it's not a perfect test, right? Because the bowel moves. Okay, I don't need to get it out. But my point is, okay. But my point is, if I know somebody's got polyps, I don't send them to a general surgeon. I say, you need to go to a GI guy. Why go to a general surgeon? Don't tell any general surgeons I said this. But, they do maybe 3 colonoscopies a week. I want you to go to a GI guy that does 15 a day, okay? Because then your chances of catching every one are better. So part of the reason that people don't go to small town hospitals is just what I said before. They want to do the specialty, and that's not necessarily unjustified. Are you following me? So some of it makes sense. You go, but for things but the things that can be done well, of course you should stay at the small town hospital. Okay, never mind. Oh, it's my turn. Okay, just a few years ago, a lot of people are still asking about this. A few years ago, Mercy said they were going to update our hospital. So what happened there? And, of course, the Joplin tornado. Remember, 2011? It was terrible. So, these pictures are horrifying. But the next one, this is the Mercy Hospital that was completely destroyed in 2011. And actually, this big section here, that whole thing was actually lifted and moved off of its foundation. So Mercy had no choice but to rebuild this hospital. So first they had to put up a temporary hospital, which was incredibly expensive, and then they spent not $1 million but $1 billion building this new hospital, which is now open. But so there went the money that they had said they would spend on us. They just didn't have it. Does that discourage me? Absolutely.
Okay, so this is the most common question we see on topics and places like that. How/why did the filthy, rotten, stinking, crooked city commissioners... So this would be referring to Leonard and Fred, right? Right. And or city manager. So Leonard, Fred, and Mickey managed to steal $3 million from the city. People still ask me that every day. It's like, Gary, I like you a lot, but really, what did you guys do with the $3 million? So I want to address that. Hopefully I can clarify that a little bit. Mercy was at their very last possibility of keeping our hospital open. They were negotiating with CRMC. We were very hopeful CRMC would be able to make it one county hospital with 2 campuses. We would be able to maintain our hospital. But CRMC said that they still needed several $1 million to keep our hospital open. The 3 commissioners unanimously said, we will find $3 million if that's the only thing that will, if that will keep our hospital open. So the 3 commissioners said to Coffeyville, we will give you $3 million if you keep our hospital open. Coffeyville quickly, when they finished looking at the numbers, the patient count said, can't do it. We don't want to bring down the Coffeyville hospital trying to save the Independence Hospital. So there is no $3 million. We would have had to sell bonds, $3 million worth of bonds, and we would have paid it back over 20 years, which we did not do. There is no $3 million. The other commissioners and I are not $1 million richer each. There is no $3 million. We don't have $3 million sitting in a slush fund. Okay, I just want to make sure that's clear, that we did not give anybody $3 million, including ourselves.
So, every day I talk to many of my patients. So they say, okay, my gosh, you're leaving, the hospital's closing, where am I going to find a doctor? So this is the ARCO building, 3rd floor, Dr. Gregory Mears. He's been here for years. He's a good guy. He's a good doc. You can trust him. Next slide. This is 13th and Chestnut, Dr. Osborne. He's been here a long time. He cares about his patients. That's another option. Next one. This is the building that I'm in. St. John / Jane Phillips is taking over this building. And, go back. Okay. So that pharmacy is not going to be called Mercy Pharmacy, but it's going to be an outpatient pharmacy. It's staying. Urgent care is staying. They're bringing in Dr. Mike Carver. He's a very nice man. I've worked with him before in our ER. He's a very experienced doctor. he's a little bit older than I am, maybe 60. I don't know. Don't tell him. If he's 59, don't tell him I said that, okay? But he's very nice. This is 900 West Myrtle. So this is the building on the west side of the hospital. It is going to go away, but right now, CRMC has 3 OBGYNs and 2 nurse practitioners that come in for the women's clinic. They also have Erica Crew. She's a family practice doctor. She was here last month. Lovely accent. She's from Jamaica. She's taking patients. And today is the first day that this guy, Sidney Nichols, is accepting pediatric patients. So they're all in that building. And they will, of course, when that building goes away, they'll have to find another spot. But they're all committed to being here in Independence. Next slide. This is Labette Health. And so the post office is right over there, catty corner. This is on the southeast of that corner, And if you'll give me the next slide. This guy, Ben Legler, is the doctor that's there. Now, he was from my med school class, obviously half my age, but whatever. He's board certified as a pediatrician, but he's like Dr. Hignite. He did med peds, so he did internal medicine and pediatrics. Okay, very well trained, and they have nurse practitioners and PAs in there, and they have an urgent care there also. So we've got 2 urgent cares so far in town. They're open 8 to 8, I think. This is Independence Family Medicine. These guys are associated with Wilson County, and I think Jonathan Rodriguez is here. Oh, by the way, it's right there by the tire store. You see where it is? Everybody know? It's on that. Okay. Anyway, this is looking north. Jonathan Rodriguez, I saw him walk in. There he is. And I think that my good friend Marty Long is going to be joining him. They give very good care. So we have options, guys. And I believe that more people will be coming to town because other facilities are saying, oh my gosh, here's this town of 9,500, 10,000 people. That's a lot of patients. And there's a lot of incentive to come to Independence, to open a practice and get a piece of that business, okay? So, can a city our size survive without an emergency room? And I don't know the right answer to that, but let's talk about a little bit because we need to know the facts. And then it's still a judgment call, and none of us know the future. So, here's what we know. Between this time last year, December 1st, 2014, and August 31st, 2015, we had in our ER 5,398 ER visits, okay? And remember, I worked that ER quite a bit, okay? 5,204 of those were not emergencies. They could have been handled by an urgent care or by a primary care physician. The remaining 194 either needed to be admitted or they needed to be transferred to another hospital, or it was enough of an emergency, like it was a significant cut, something that had to be stitched, an emergency. But the question is, do we need our ER just for those less than 198? And I don't know for sure. But I do know that our ambulance service is pretty darn amazing. And we do have paramedics. Mickey, am I right? We have a paramedic that can start IVs, that can intubate, that can stabilize a patient. They're on 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day, that's available. Every ambulance. And am I right? Also, our ambulance service got a perfect score 3 years in a row. That's really unheard of. We can be proud of these guys. It's amazing. And we have that service. So, real quickly, so somebody said to me the other day, so what happens, what is going to happen if my spouse has a stroke? This is a great question since I love taking care of elderly patients. So you turn around and your spouse has drooping mouth or, suddenly the left side doesn't work or whatever. What do? You got 2 options. If we have an ER in town, you could drive them immediately. You got to do it fast, okay? Nobody dink around with this crap, okay? You go straight to the ER, or you call whatever, or you call 911. Say you decide to drive to a standalone ER. what's going to happen? They're going to immediately check your blood sugar, and they're going to make sure that you're really having a stroke. And if you're having a stroke, they're going to send you immediately to the nearest stroke center, which is Labette. Okay? Now, say you call 911. The ER guys, the EMS guys are going to come out. They're going to evaluate. They're going to check your blood sugar. And then what are they going to do? They're not even going to go to the nearest ER. They're going to take you immediately to the nearest stroke center, which is Labette. Okay? So I'm not certain in that case that the ER is going to help us that much. But here's the thing. What I really want you to hear is you don't need to be frightened. Okay? Call 911. Get to Labette. Okay? All right. I'll let you.
So the next question that we're asked most commonly, are we going to make a deal with Labette to open an emergency room? And the answer to that, I wish I could give you a definite answer, but the answer is a definite maybe. Labette has said we would like to open an ER in Independence. Good for their business. They do have a wonderful stroke center, and we're considering that. In fact, I believe we're having a meeting Monday night in executive session, however. Once again, our hands are kind of tied and our mouths are duct taped, what we can say, because every hospital we've talked to says you have to sign a confidentiality agreement because we're not willing to share financials. It's not just Mercy. Coffeyville said that. St. John said that. Labette has said that. So I apologize that in some cases we can't give you the information. Believe me, the commissioners are dying to tell you everything we know, but in some cases we just can't. But we're planning to meet with Labette again and talk about the possibility of the city paying to build a standalone ER and Labette running it. Again, the evidence, the data we've looked at, it's really inconclusive how much benefit we get. So, there will probably be a split vote on that, I'm guessing, but I don't know. Just to guess, because we usually have a split vote. Will the Mercy Hospital building be donated to the City of Independence? That's the plan right now. Mercy has said that basically, well, here's the aerial shot, just to remind you. So this is the property. This is the main hospital building, the original hospital building, the round tower, the West Clinic, and then the North Clinic. And so Mercy has said the original building is going away. Not an option to do anything else with that. It's a done deal. It's got structural issues. It's got asbestos. Mercy is paying to bring that down to the ground. Same with the round tower. It is going away. No matter what the city does about anything else, the round tower is going away. And for good reasons. It's not a structurally sound building. Now, this building, I didn't know this, but it's built not well. It's built wood structured. It's got a lot of termite damage. It's got roof issues. So that building is going away also. Again, it's Mercy's decision. They own the buildings. That's what they have decided. Now, the top building there, the North Clinic, they are making a deal to give that to St. John's. St. John's will open an urgent care clinic there, and we'll have primary care physicians, keep the other services that are available in there.
So Dr. Trong's infusion center is staying, right? Yeah. Okay. And some specialists will still come in.
And so the only question is this building. And all along, Mercy has said, what we'd like to do when we leave, well, not all along, but when they started talking to like Coffeyville, they said, we'd like to give this building to the city, and then that way the city owns it, has control of it, and you would rent it to CRMC for $1 a year or something like that. So the latest deal is they want to give this building to the city, and, we would own the building. Now, I voted to accept that building. We had a split vote. I totally understand voting the other side of this issue. I debated a long time what the right answer was, but I voted to accept the building for Mercy, and I'm going to tell you why. And the long and the short of it is I can't stand to see buildings being bulldozed if they can be saved. To me, it's a very valuable building. It probably cost, $12, $15 million to build it. They may be more than that. And there's only two options. Mercy has said it'd be easier for us to just bulldoze it, but we will give it to the city. And we will give you a check for $500,000 to accept the building. So Mercy said to bulldoze it, to bring it down, is going to cost about $500,000. So if you'll take the building, we'll give you the building for free, and we'll give you $500,000 for your needs and doing whatever you need to do. And to me, it's like, okay, so even if we take the building, we end up deciding to bulldoze it, we've got the money to bulldoze it. So to me, that was a major factor in my decision. We will have a tenant in the building. St. John's Health Systems would like to rent a significant part of the building. Will pay us about $100,000 a year in rent. We're still negotiating that exactly. But they would rent that from us because they would like to keep the existing imaging center there, which I think would be a wonderful thing.
I wanted to talk about this a minute. So you guys, you remember, everybody, a woman starting at 45 or 50, it's up in the, people disagree, but has to start with mammograms at least every other year, and many of us women need it every year. So let me just show you some of the things. This is our CT scanner, and we are hoping that if we keep that building and St. John does accept the clinic, they will keep this CT scanner. Otherwise, we don't have a CT scanner in town. Now, remember, so you come in, you got belly pain, and I try this, and I try that, and I try this and that. And finally, I say, okay, I can't figure out what's going on. We need a CT. I don't want you to have to drive to Coffeyville or Neodesha or Parsons. Let's have it here in town. So this is a nuclear medicine. You guys, this is for the nuclear stress tests, right? So cardiologists use this. It's amazing that we have this here in town. Wesley Medical Center doesn't have one. St. Francis has two, both of which are ancient, one of which craps out all the time, all right? The fact that we've got this, I don't want to lose it. So I wanted him to accept the building so that we could possibly keep this, so that if your cardiologist, Dykstra or Roger Evans, whoever comes to town, says you need a nuclear stress test, we can do it right here in town. This is our MRI scanner. You guys, Chanute doesn't even have one. Let's not lose this. I wanted to keep it. The next one. Okay, so this is the fluoroscopy, but we have a mammogram, we have DEXA scan, we have ultrasound. You guys, I don't want us to always have to drive somewhere just to do our maintenance health screening, right? I mean, okay, you'll have to drive for your colonoscopies, but whatever.
So then that leads to the question, will the Mercy Hospital building, assuming we do work out the details and accept the building, will that be converted to a new city hall? This has got to be the most controversial one. I've felt the most anger from people about this one. This is my last slide. Am I way over time, or have I got a minute? Okay, thanks. Okay, so here's the long and the short of it. The existing city hall has so many issues you can't imagine unless you've spent time over there. It's not safe. It's not ADA compliant. We need massive work on the electrical system. The HVAC is basically non-existent. The windows leak. If you want to go down and check the electrical panels, you're generally standing in water because so much water leaks in the building. Somebody could be killed in the building. We don't have proper facilities for our EMS and fire staff. Last time I was on City Commission in Baldwin City, we had a sex discrimination lawsuit filed against the city. And here we don't even have proper facilities for male and female fire staff. They have to share facilities. The existing building, even if we bring it up, make it safe, put all new electrical in it, new HVAC, windows, roof, do all the things that we really need to do, it's about $3.5 million, something like that. And it's still not really an adequate building. If you're not convinced of that, I'd love to give you a tour sometime and show you some of the issues in that building. It's not really designed for modern-day use as a city hall. Now, having said that, we don't have plans yet we have not voted on this. The thing is, you'd like your city staff to do good staff work. That's one of the most basic tenets of management. If somebody comes to you as a board of directors and says, hey, we have this opportunity suddenly in front of us to have this free building that would cost us $15 million to build, you'd expect to say, well, what could we do with it? Is there any chance we could make use of it before we decide whether to accept it? So we have done a very preliminary study to see if we could make use of it as a city hall. The answer is, yeah, we probably could. We've not made that decision. There are no secrets. It was on the front page of the paper. The preliminary plan that was drawn up, that's a first pass of what we could do. We've not decided to do that. Nothing's finalized. I don't know how to alleviate the anger on this one. I guess maybe it's impossible, because I had somebody tell me yesterday, I would rather, by God, see that building bulldozed and made into a city hall because that was a special hospital. I was born there. I'm sorry. I understand that sentiment, but I just don't agree in this case. I can't see bulldozing a building because it's no longer a hospital. So we're looking at this option. No decisions have been made. I can't imagine any decisions being made quickly. Somebody will say, well, what's the rush? Well, there is no rush. We can accept the building from Mercy, and we can decide at our leisure what we want to do with it, which I think makes good sense. But we will investigate all options One will be to move City Hall to that building. What?
There was a little bit of a rush because just to decide to take it or not, right?
Oh, yeah, we had to decide whether to take it. Yeah, I mean, that deadline's already passed. So we voted, again, it was a split vote, but we voted to accept the building from Mercy. But past that, no decisions have been made. That is the end of my presentation. Our presentation, Lisa. Thank you, appreciate it. She hits me all the time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is going to give you warp speed information about some exciting news regarding recycling in our community.
So, warp speed this will be. What the world? I'll just do this. This past couple weeks, we've been in touch with City of Fredonia again, Lisa, Mickey, and Mike Passeur, and we can partner with the City of Fredonia to provide recycling opportunities here in town. This is one of the first things that I heard about when I was elected to the commission, and so we actually had several presentations. Tim Haynes came to us from ICC, gave us an excellent proposal about what potential possibilities were, and so Tim's the one that said, let's take baby steps, basically. So here's what the plan is, all right? Right now, we need to have a 16 to 18-foot trailer, and we need to build a cage around it so that we can transport it. City of Independence will transport it to Fredonia. The plan right now is for that to be the first Saturday of each month. We'd like to have started it in January, but because of the holiday, January 1st is a Friday, most people are going to be out, so forth, so we'll just start it the 1st of February. And then if at your table there, I guess I can use my coaching voice here, former coaching voice, we can go to, if you'll look at the sheet on your table, that gives you a quick outline of the items. Well, this is not the quick outline. This is the items that was on the Fredonia website that provides what we can take to Fredonia. So as you can see, there's all kinds of things on there. On the right-hand side, notice the not. It's bold. Those are things that we cannot take there. If you were to take those out to the sanitation yard, which is where the trailers will be set up, then they just won't accept them. Okay. Now I know a lot of people separate paper already. They separate aluminum cans. Those are all good things that can continue to happen. One of the questions that was asked just yesterday, actually, was about oil. What about some hazardous waste such as oil, those types of things? And those will not be accepted, obviously. But the county has a household waste program that's open one Wednesday per month. And as you can see on the sheet, the number there is 331-4139. I'm not sure that those exact date or the exact Wednesdays are determined yet, but as soon as we get them, we will post them on our website, and we'll try to get that out to as many people as we can. So that's warp speed. Does that, you see what we're trying to do here? And this is a request. As I said, this is a request that we've had from a lot of folks. I'm real happy to be able to put this together. This thing's been around the block once, and now we're headed down the block again. And hopefully the community will support it. If they do, then we can work on expanding it and doing more things with it. All right? Questions by anybody quickly? Yes?
Do you want them in sacks? Do we buy a bin? What do you want it in?
We want it in sacks, gathered as much as we can, and to get there and get it into the trailer as quick as we can.
Want it separated?
Vicki, you're going to have
it'd be better if it was separated.
We'll separate. Okay.
If it was separated. It's not necessary, but I can teach English. It'd be gooder if you did. So,
Everybody has to take their garbage to the dump.
Right.
You take it out to the sanitation yard, which is on West Main, underneath the overpass there, on the south side. Okay, and that'd be one Saturday a month. And like I said, if we get some support on this and it all works out, we'll expand it as much as we can when we can. Yes, Bill.
Are you going to have supply us then, like most cities have, recycled and non-recycled garbage cans? Do we have to separate the two?
You know, there's plans. We've talked about this. Mickey, you might want to answer this question. But
There's no plans to start that yet. We're going to start small and go from there.
Okay.
one of the things we're looking at is doing polycarts, though.
Yes, we are looking.
We're looking at polycarts. That's not really separation, but doing some things there, and efficiency moves to somewhat aid that process. See, I think we can go some places with this if it's supported. All right. Well, in warp speed, thank you very much.
Okay, who broke this? Which one of you? That's amazing news. We're glad to hear that. We'll all go home and start recycling, throwing it in some sacks and taking it out on the first Saturday in February. And like he said, we're just going to take baby steps, and we've got some, I'm sure, bumps in the road, but just bear with us. At least we're starting that. So at this time, we're going to open it up for some questions. It's on the agenda. That we have time for some community questions. And in all fairness to everyone, we really only have time for about 2 or 3 questions. And then at that point, I just encourage you to, if you have additional comments or questions or concerns or information, knowledge, these 3 guys and our city manager, our 3 commissioners, always welcome you to call them. Gary talked about how people stop by his place of business. I'm sure they track Fred down and Leonard down. So please call them, email them, and go visit with our city commissioners. And the door is always open at Mickey's office as well. So again, I just encourage you, if you're not able to ask your question during this little bit of time, to be sure and find them maybe after the event or at their offices or places of business. So do we want to take just 1 or 2 questions? Anybody have a question they want to ask about any of the topics we've talked about? Sure, Drew.
On that equipment, X-ray equipment and all that stuff. Say you cut a deal with St. John's or whatever. Will they make that equipment available to the vet, Wilson, and all the others, or are they just going to keep it for themselves?
It'll be available for others as well.
For all,
Yes.
So everybody in town can send patients
That's
there.
my understanding. Yes.
Yeah, any doctor could send a patient there for scans.
So it's not going to be an exclusive deal. Okay, thanks.
And that was about the equipment's in the building, right? Okay.
That's a good question.
Thank you very much. Another question? Sure, Val.
At the last First Friday, I thought I heard that Mercy had made a stipulation that they only wanted the Catholic hospital in the hospital building if it was to be taken over. Was that accurate, or was
Yes.
that something I dreamed?
That was accurate. It's been in the paper.
That's
They
what I
will
thought.
only deal with St. John's. However, St. John's with that equipment, that's where it's open to other organizations.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Another question?
Of the adopted family,
Yes.
can your donations be taken into the bank? Could it be toys and money, or?
The answer is yes. They can come to the bank. The toys or donations can be dropped by either in the main bank or our drive-in bank, and we'll be doing that probably through next week, and then the next week we'll be spending all the time getting all the item, I guess you'd say the orders filled, but yes, they can, and we will gladly accept them and appreciate them.
And checks payable?
Checks payable to Community Foundation for Independence, Adopt a Family. And so that makes it the 501c3 tax-deductible contribution.
All right. Well, at this time, I want to give our business sponsor just a quick minute to say a few words from Medical Lodges and Grand Villas of Independence. Please welcome Dennis Pinkerton.
Well, good morning, everybody. And
I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out today, and thank Lisa and the Chamber for the opportunity to be a sponsor. It's something that we've spoke about for a while. I'm sorry. I'm not used to talking in a microphone. Forgive me. But anyway, thank you very much for coming out this morning and attending. And like I say, Lisa, the Chamber, for the opportunity to sponsor. And I want to give a shout out to Mickey, the 3 commissioners, and Jim, and many other of the people that are players in our healthcare endeavor to try to get healthcare here to our wonderful community, you guys. We deserve it. These guys are working hard behind the scenes. And no, I'm not plugging anybody, I promise. As so many of you and so many of our family and loved ones, we've all been affected by the closing of Mercy Hospital, and whether it's personally or professionally. So these people are working behind the scenes. We appreciate it. Gentlemen, ladies, thank you very much for all you do. And each and every community member, let's stay positive. Let's work together. Let's come together. We have a fantastic community here. We deserve all the services that everybody else has, and these people are trying to bring them. So anyway, thank you very much for all of you for coming out today.
Thank you, Dennis. And thank you again. They have 2 great administrators, Amber Nisley and Megan Lawrence, from both of those facilities. So we appreciate, again, their financial support of this large group, because this just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, which is an amazing thing and awesome. We're thrilled that you find this very interesting, and you're willing to get up early and come out for this. We have one more order of business, and at this time I will turn it over to Mickey Webb.
Yes, I will be brief as well. Appreciate the opportunity. I would like to say, before I get into streets and roads, one thing on the trees. We have planted 18 trees. We just received 28 more trees that we're hopefully get some volunteer help organized to get those planted. We have enough funds and that money that the mayor mentioned, that if we get volunteer labor and city labor to plant all the trees, we will be able to plant over 100 trees with the money we have. And I'd like to thank once again the Independence Daily Reporter for their incentives. I think that made a very great difference in the amount of money we received. Thank you, Josh. As far as the street program, as everyone knows today, we are dedicating the West Main Street from 10th to 18th, and also the 10th and Chestnut project. And the reason we're having a dedication is because, unlike the other road work we've done in the city, these roads are not improvements. These are brand new roads. All the old road that's been there for 70, 80 years was all taken up and new road put down. So why not celebrate a new road that we've needed for absolute decades? We have completed the West Main project, and we have completed the Penn Avenue from Oak Street to Glencliff Road. We have completed the East Main project from Park Boulevard to Cement Street. We have completed all of the striping and crack sealing out west, and the striping also on the north Penn. That's all been completed. So we have got some other work that is planned. I won't get into it because of a lack of time, but I thank you for the opportunity to bring you up. Do you have any questions on the road work? Okay, thank you. Anyone that needs to leave, we're going to start the dedication now, and if someone needs to get to work, don't hesitate to get up and leave. But we are going to go into this. I think it is important. Again, as I just said, because it's not just an improvement on the road, but a brand new road, we want to dedicate it, and we want to thank the individuals and the organizations that helped. I'll turn it over to the mayor briefly, but I did want to say some things that a lot of people probably don't recognize, that among the thanks that need to go out, the elected officials all need to be thanked, particularly the city commissioners who are volunteer board members. They very rarely get any pats on the back. They just get complaints. And they took a lot of heat, both the current and former. And I think you need to tell them that you appreciate their service. And also, with this West Main project, we got a grant from KDOT, thanks to not only Wayne Goodmanson's here today, and he'll hopefully stay and speak, but also at the time, Mike Stringer was in his position that Wayne is now. And no one, to my knowledge, no city had received over $300,000 or $400,000, maybe $500,000 through that program. And because of our need and because of our elected officials, we were able to get $2 million of grant money on that construction. Now, when we passed the sales tax, we certainly need to thank the citizens for voting for that sales tax, because we certainly couldn't have done it. But if we hadn't had that money, West Main's about all we would have done, because that would have taken pretty much all the money. Thanks to that $2 million, we're able to do some other roads, as you've seen here recently. So now I'd like to turn it over to the Honorable Leonard Kaflish, our mayor.
Thank you. The two projects were completed, like Mickey mentioned, with funding from KDOT. The West Main project was part of what's called a Corridor Access Management Program, sponsored by KDOT. So with that came some other requirements of lane width size. So the overall width of the road was increased 10 feet overall, 5 feet each side. In that project, you'll notice at the beginning, the excavation on the right-of-ways, we relocated the water lines from the center of the street to the right-of-way, so any problems that develop there, we're not going to have to remove pavement to access and correct the problems. Also, by being part of the Corridor Access Management Plan, there's certain requirements of egress to the street, to the highway, that we have to comply with, but it also then opens up, if you'll look at the diagrams, it also includes the alleys adjacent to the street to be funded by funds from Corridor Access Management Plan. That was intended to provide access to businesses or residents located along the highway. The purpose is to speed up travel through the town, so as you close up access points, you increase travel time through the highway and you reduce chances of conflicts, vehicle collisions. So in recognizing that, they'll allow us to apply in the future for funds to improve the alleys adjacent to Penn Avenue and Main Street. The project at 10th and Chestnut is funded by KDOT, and it was considered a geometric project. And again, you'll notice the change at the intersection of 10th and Chestnut, how it improves traffic going from south to north, navigating that corner. And we were able also to add traffic signals by the funding of the project. And it did widen the road originally from Main on Chestnut to about 9th Street. It was wider and then it narrowed as it approached 10th Street. Now the street's a full width, both on Chestnut and 10th Street. So we've been really fortunate with the projects that the funding from KDOT has greatly aided in what we can do with that travel through town. Do you remember coming across the overpass from the west going east? As time, we're going to forget those holes because the change, we rode our motorcycles down the street, and you really appreciate that road now. But, the time has been worth the wait. It's improved the approach into our city, and it's improved the appearance. It's hard to get used to the loss of the trees, but we're seeing a lot of progress, and that has been helped. And we can't thank enough our representative, Jim Kelly, Senator King, who couldn't attend today, Virgil Peck, representative, to intercede for us in this matter, and of course KDOT for making the funds available to the city. Like city manager mentioned, this is a rarity, a town our size being able to not only apply but then to receive $2 million to aid in the reconstruction of the street. And the same with the geometric project at 10th and Main. KDOT really provided an asset to the city in smoothing up the flow of traffic around that corner. Also, the Chamber of Commerce, Main Street, our engineering consultant, Trans Systems, for their design and oversee the work. Mission Construction, you look at the work not only in the roadway, but look at the sidewalks that they've replaced and the ADA work they're doing. We're really fortunate to have a contractor concerned and give us the quality of work that we've received on these projects. At this time, I'd like to introduce again Jim and offer the opportunity to him to address.
Well, I'll be very short on this one. When I first went into the Kansas House, which would have been in 2011, West Main Street was an issue, and that's one of the things, working with Senator King and Representative Peck and the great cooperation from KDOT, I was able to now make a trip west, from east to west and west to east without having my car drop into a hole or having my spouse on the other side of me saying, "This is terrible. Someone needs to do something about this." And so it is done. And it's a real pleasure to just be at this point and see the roads open and see what a change it makes, not only in travel, but actually in the appearance as you come in east and west. So my thanks go to all the city staff that helped make this happen. Goes to Wayne Goodmanson and Mike Stringer that was mentioned for their work to help push this through and make a terrific project on West Main and on Chestnut that makes a real difference traveling through our community and the appearance of our community. So it was a great pleasure for me to have a chance to be a little part of it and to be here and see it open up today. Thank you.
When the project began, I think Wayne Goodmanson was area engineer, now regional. Wayne, would you care to say a few words about the project?
I don't know about a few words. It takes me a half hour just to spit my name out.
I'm the same way on that.
Spit my name out?
No. Oh, okay. I wouldn't bother with that.
Woo!
Thank you.
Well, I want to thank everybody on behalf of the KDOT, the commission, the mayor, everybody here for letting KDOT be a part of this. First thing I want to say is before I push roads, and believe me, that's my objective, is to push roads and push safety. Mr. Kelly said something earlier, and I really want to emphasize this, and that's the program about what they do at Christmas time. I don't think any child should have to go to a Christmas morning and underneath the tree there are no toys. I won't tell you how old I am, but I still like toys for Christmas. And bless his heart, when I go up there on the third floor or whatever it is and get lost or whatever, and we do give our donation, I specify toys for Christmas. And as far as I know, at least my donation has gone for toys. So I just want to say thank you for what you do. I just think it's an outstanding program. Now I get to talk about the good part, or another good part. But our primary objective, or basically our main objective, and that's to improve safety. That's what we're here for. And we were very fortunate to be a part of this project, and it's been a good partnership all the way around. Mayor Kaflish talked a little bit about the partnership that we did have. We had the access management corridor plan drawn up, which will help us improve safety by, I won't say limiting accesses, but maybe looking at accesses in a different perspective to make sure that we're not flooding the markets, because we all know that crashes occur when people pull out, pull in, and different things like that. So we're trying to look at that and make sure we try to limit those. Anytime you have a conflict point out in the road, it's a possible crash. So that's one area that we have worked on, and that's where the $2 million pot of gold came from, was that program. And so I do want to thank the city for being a part of that. Also, this highway, and Sean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going from memory, which I shouldn't do at my age, but I believe we built 2 full 12-foot, or 4 full 12-foot lanes, and then I love this part of it, a 15-foot twiddle lane, 2-way left turn traffic lane. I just had to have the opportunity to say that. I don't get to say that very often, and it's one of my favorite words or acronyms, or however you want to put it. So we have, in fact, doing this project, we have improved safety. Also, if I remember right, I think we eliminated 6 access points or something like that. So we're on a good start, and it has been a good partnership for us. And I want to thank the people for putting up with us for a period of time as we were in and out. And the other great part about this project, all I did was give them money. I had to take no responsibility for anything else, so all the calls that we received, we just sent back to the city. It was a great project. Most don't go like that. So thanks a lot. With that, I'm going to make like a tree and leaf. Thank you.
And now I'd like to, of course, introduce and offer Commissioner Hogsett the opportunity.
This will be very brief. You know, I travel to Kansas City every week because I do consulting up there, and people there always say, you know, small towns are dying, they're going to shrivel up and die. And I say, you know, that's true in a lot of small towns, but it's not in Independence. We invest in our future, and our best days are ahead of us. That's all I want to say.
Commissioner Meyer.
And I'd like to echo what Gary said, along with the fact that I work with a bunch of educators that come through town on the way to school districts west of us. And I was talking with one just the other day, and she told me that West Main is just wonderful. And she wondered how long it was going to take. But it was wonderful, and that we should be very proud of that. So for that, we are. There's some folks that I thought about as everybody was talking that I'd like to thank. And I see Mission Construction. I think I saw. Can you stand? They were the construction folks, Beechners. I see Trans System and his crew back there. There's Sean, JJ, and Chance, and all them. Actually, they're busy buddies here in Independence. And then Gary Leonard and I are, we get some credit for this, but really the credit goes back to our former predecessors there in Rick Mott, Darrell Unruh, and Tim White. And I think Rick left. Did he leave? Okay. And so can we give them a round of applause too? 'Cause they had the foresight to make sure that this happened and started the ball rolling. So thank you very much.
And I'd like to offer the opportunity for Virgil Peck, House Representative that was involved in, to come and address.
Mayor, I appreciate the opportunity. I didn't necessarily need to address, but I'd never heard of a twiggle lane before, Wayne. So that's a new word that I may adopt and use somewhere. It is kind of catchy. I realize that projects such as this, a state-local partnership, are one of the better ways that the state can participate in improving local communities. It was a long time in coming. I'm sure you noticed probably that if you've looked that I'm wearing the symbol of my favorite team. I get a little emotionally involved sometimes. But I thought that this year's Kansas City Chiefs team kind of goes along with this project. You know, the Chiefs, they started off with a bang. Everybody was excited. They won their first game. They had big playoff hopes. Lost 5 in a row. A lot of criticism. We lost Jamal Charles to the season-ending injury. People were criticizing Andy Reid. You know, he doesn't know how to coach. Maybe he should be replaced. Offensive line's not blocking. What in the world can the quarterback do without a line blocking? All kinds of criticism. But now the Chiefs are the hottest team in the NFL. They've won 5 in a row. Only Carolina, who hasn't lost this year, has won more in a row this year. And so that kind of, to me, correlates with what we faced here on this West Main Street project. People were excited when they heard about the fact that we're not going to have potholes anymore. It's going to be smooth, which I was as well. And then we faced some criticism, some things. I won't enumerate those. We all know what they are, but people criticized. But yet, those who were leaders in the Independence community pushed forward. And I want to commend the commission, the manager, the former commissioners for pushing forward for this project. Now that it is completed, I think most people will forget about the criticisms and the things that we had to go through to get this project. So I just wanted to thank them and commend them for this project. I know I personally really appreciate it. When I drive in on the west end, or actually the east end of my legislative district, it stops at 13, so Representative Kelly and I both have a little bit of a fresh road here, fresh West Main Street. But anyway, so I just wanted to commend those who were involved, and especially my colleagues in the legislature, Representative Jim Kelly, Senator Jim King, or I'm sorry, he's not going to like that, is he? Jeff King, for them taking the lead because they pushed forward on this before Independence was even a part of my district. So we've got a lot of leaders, a lot of positive things happening. Independence is a town I've always appreciated because they rise above challenges. Facing some challenges on some other issues, but Independence will rise above them. Thank you.
One question, where do we go from here? And we're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony shortly at 11th and Main, but just kind of going back to show that we're not looking at these two projects being the end, but we're looking at a continuation. That one thing KDOT does give the city is each year we receive funds for lane mile maintenance. And part of that was mentioned the crack sealing and striping that was done on West Main west of the overpass. The crack sealing project is preserving the roadway there. The sealant was removed in areas that had started to deteriorate and was replaced to prevent water from getting into the base. Once water gets below the pavement and softens the base, you develop the holes like we saw east of the overpass. So we're not looking at what we've done and sitting back and saying we did it. Look at the good job we've done. We're looking into the future and hoping to continue our relationship with KDOT. We're taking their money and we've gone ahead and we've done preventative maintenance on what was done years ago. We're looking at preventative maintenance to continue on what's just completed so we can preserve it. We've also had discussions. You'll look at the patchwork that was done on Main Street by Walgreens. Some of the things that were developed there was caused by the initial pavement deteriorating. We're talking about investigating that so we can look at another program, either a CLINK or a project, which is Connecting Link, or funding to start getting ahead of the deterioration of our roadways, to be better stewards of what's been entrusted to us. So I want you to be assured that we haven't sat back and we're not saying it's done, we can rest, but we're trying to look forward so that we can prevent the occurrence on Main Street from getting that bad in the future. And we can break it down into little pieces, working with KDOT, working with our revenue to prevent that from occurring again. So at this time, I'd like to adjourn this portion of our meeting, and then we'll reconvene at 11th and Main for ribbon cutting ceremony. So all those that can attend would appreciate seeing you there.